Okay, is everybody sitting comfortably?
Yeah.
Excellent. Go on. One more person needs to sit down. Go! I know there's more people walking in. Yeah. Right. This is the state of the Velociraptor. Good afternoon, YepsiEU. Let me take you on a strange and wonderful journey. So, state of the Velociraptor, traditionally this is the state of Perl 5. But you see, this year we have a kind of a question here, which is which Perl 5, right? Does Mo count? Stephen Little's project to experiment with a Perl 5-like language on the JVM. I'd say it does. It's still Perlish. Does P2 count? Rainy Urban is working on producing a Perl 5 compatible system written again. So yes, I'd say that does as well. But the thing here is, what we're ending up with is not so much a Perl language as a Perl family of languages. We were already doing this in terms of the sort of Perl 5, Perl 6 thing. But the diaspora seems to be happening. You have, Rakudo JVM, Rakudo More VM, Nietzsche on the Perl 6 side, Perl 5 core, standard, P2, Mo on the Perl 5 side. We're not just a programming language anymore. We're a family of languages in the same sense that you could say that Lisp is. The one respect in which we're not more like Lisp every year is I still don't have macros. It's disappointing. But this is how things go. We always prototype things on CPAN. There's, the canonical example possibly being Devil Declare, which the entire reason I wrote that thing was to prove that keywords were possible and to embarrass somebody competent into writing something real in core. And lo and behold, 5.14, 5.16, they became suitably embarrassed and hated Devil Declare enough that people built something way better. The problem here is, there's that limits things that we can't do on CPAN. So, you Devil Declare let me jam keywords in, but you still can't do custom operators, which is something that's going to have to be pushed into the parser itself. The answer here is, stop thinking that the only way of changing things is to prototype things on CPAN. You could also prototype things by, Stephen demonstrated it by building Mo. You could all, various experiments, but also, Mo specifically exists to come up with a bunch of ideas that can be stolen to core. Stealing good ideas, well, we've been doing it to other languages. If you look at Perl syntax, colon was taken from C++. I believe the original reason for quote as package separator was for Ada programmers to make them happy. Is that right? Yeah, hey, I did remember. Excellent. If you want an example of stealing good ideas, well, come on. We've been stealing ideas from Perl 6 for how many years now? Okay. Sorry? I'd argue it took us a few years to actually start stealing things, but yes. Okay, not all of those worked out perfectly, see Smart Match, but these things happen. Moose. Moose was fundamentally something we stole from Perl 6, in that Stephen Little, having worked on an early version of the Perl 6 meta model, decided to re-implement something similar in Perl 5. And, we got Moose out of that. That's kind of, let's steal things back and forth. And I'm fairly sure that the Perl 6 crew have stolen at least a few ideas from Moose in terms of, you know, we shook a lot of stuff out in how do you deal with this out in the real world. Now, okay, so you also have this whole idea that I was talking about earlier this year of regarding Perl 5 core, the Pumpkin's Perl, as being pumpkin Perl. Now, okay, may or may not happen. Until the patch lands on P5P and we have the conversation, I can't guarantee anything. But RJBS thought it was an interesting idea, and given he's the current pumpkin, that means we may have a chance. But assuming it does, you can try things yourself. Because, you know, at any point, you fork Perl 5, experiment, release the version of the experiment, let people play with it, see what happens. And, you know, if it's a direct fork of Perl 5 core, you can steal ideas just by git pull. You don't even need to re-implement them. This is going to be great fun. People go on and on about backwards compatibility and say, oh, backwards compatibility is the thing that is dragging us down. No. Seriously, people underestimate the risks of breaking compatibility. Allow me to give you the example. TCL. Tickle released 8.6 not so long ago. Tickle 8.6 has a mopping core. They actually got there first. I'm kind of amazed by this. But Userbin TCL on Debian is still 8.4. Why is it still 8.4? Because TCL, strange, old and beautiful language though it is, doesn't maintain compatibility to the same level that we do. So they couldn't upgrade the Userbin version without breaking a bunch of deployed scripts. So it didn't get upgraded. This is not a good thing. Whereas what we're seeing is distros more and more are shipping modern Perls. I mean, you know, Debian, you now get 5.14, 5.16. Ubuntu is shipping a reasonable Perl. Even Red Hat has actually managed to ship something that's less than 10 years old. And the reason that's happening is that they can rely on backwards compatibility. I know keeping backwards compatibility in core is an absolute pain, but that's why we're seeing distros upgrading. I mean, you know, Perl Brew is awesome, yeah. All of us here are going to say, if we can, we don't want to use the system Perl, we will build our own Perl and we will use that. That's great, that's wonderful. But anybody coming new to Perl, you know, you can't say to people, what's the first thing you do in order to use Perl? Oh, well, it's already installed on your system, but don't use the one that's already installed. First, spend half an hour compiling one. You can't say that to newbies. So, I mean, no matter how wonderful Perl Brew is, having Userbin Perl actually being relatively recent is even cooler. And, you know, now we've been getting regular releases out, distros are getting into the habit of actually having something to upgrade to. So now they are upgrading. They're getting back into the idea. They've worked out, hey, Perl actually gets released. Maybe we should upgrade it, you know, more than once every 5 years. And plus, you know, Perl 5 Porters is changing, and this is change for the better. We're starting to see more and more new contributors. Conversations on list, while yes, there is still a huge amount of bike shedding, RJBS has got very good at the gentle, careful steering of bike shedding conversations by saying, yes, this is a decision that we may want to consider making about this feature, but can we get the feature in now without having made the decision? And every time he says that, we actually get a feature instead of a 6-month argument. And this is getting somewhere. It's It's cool. I mean, you know, yes, it's still slower than we'd like, but it's faster than it was, and it's getting faster. Subroutine signatures. Okay, it missed 5.18. That's a great shame. But it didn't miss 5.18 because of a problem with Perl 5 porters. It missed 5.18 because the guy who was working on it has this thing called a real life and a family. And so, you know, he got busy, he had to go deal with stuff. He is still working on the patch. I heard so many people saying, oh, it'll never happen, he's given up. No, he hasn't given up. He has a real life and a family.
He submitted some today.
Excellent. It's coming. We're getting somewhere. The Perl OO intro finally got replaced by something that actually talks about doing OO the way we actually do it, rather than the way we did it 15 years ago. Perl OpenTube is getting there. We are slowly but surely getting somewhere. And getting the annual releases repeatedly happening was a key thing to this. Because having the annual releases means that people actually think that their patch is going to be out in the wild, somewhere they can use it before they die of old age. And that's kind of essential as well, because that's part of what's making people care. And you know, now people have seen we're getting the annual releases year on year. It's actually worth trying to get something into core, because you're going to be able to use it. And I mean, you know, and now, you know, time to a new feature landing where I can use it in a system Perl is under 10 years. That's new as well. So yeah, I mean, it's going to take a while. It's still not, obviously, it's not as fast as we want, because it's never as fast as we want, because we want everything now. I do as well. But you know, you have a limited number of volunteers, a limited amount of time. We are getting steadily further on, and it's getting easier for people to pitch in and help. I mean, okay, Perl 5 core is crazy, yes, but it works. And what a lot of people say is, oh my god, Perl 5 core is so scary because it's all made out of C macros. And you know, that means it's the hardest dynamic language to hack on ever. People, I mean, seriously, I hear people saying this, and hang on. You know what? I went and had a read of the source code of some others. I have read the TCL source code. I have read the Python source code. I have read the Ruby source code. They're all full of macros as well. Because if you're doing performant, portable C code, you end up with a huge number of macros. It's just the nature of the beast. So, you know, okay. You could argue that that just means we're all screwed, but at least we're all in it together, right? So, you know, I would say, in terms of getting there, the only thing to fear? No, not fear itself. That's a stupid phrase. The only thing to fear is zombies, obviously. I mean, really. But other things have happened, you know. Pilbara and local lib now finally play nice together. We have Carton, that means that if you're playing around with dependency versioning, you can actually pin your dependency tree and rebuild it easily. And, you know, Moose. Moose is everywhere now. And, due to a significant amount of pain, agony and irritation on my part, writing raw Perl OO before I could figure out how to do it, we now have Moo, which means that anybody in a situation, there is now no excuse for not using one of the two. Porting from Moose to Moo works. We've done it for a bunch of CPAN packages now. So people with constrained environments, if you're still trying to run as CGI, or if you're running command line tools, or if you need to be pure Perl for whatever reason, Moo lets you have the Moo-style syntax. Throwable and email sender have been switched across. So, finally, we're not in the situation where every large application is using email sender and anything small is still using email send for the startup time. Throwable, finally, again, we can have the same set of exception classes from the smallest script up to the largest application. And then, if you're in an unconstrained environment, you're still sorted because Moo knows how to pretend to be Moose, you still get all of Moose in the larger scale stuff, even though the module is available to the smaller scale things. Makes life so much easier. I mean, I remember a CPAN contributor of many years actually gave up and stopped because in the space of a year he released 2 modules. One of those modules, he got hate mail for not using Moose and writing raw perl because it was raw and clunky and, why aren't you using Moose? The other module, he got hate mail for using Moose because people didn't like the dependencies. Seriously, the guy walked away from CPAN in disgust at that point. And I can kind of understand. But now, you don't have this problem. If people argue about it, use Moo. If there isn't an argument, use Moose. Problem solved. So, the M-star apocalypse is now that there is now no excuse for writing raw perl and doing it the hard way unless you have a specific reason. And really, we're kind of running out of reasons now. The future's pretty bright. It's also, I have no idea what's going to happen because, we may see more Perl 5 forks. I saw somebody experimenting with a Perl that did use strict by default. That was fascinating. And then the entire test suite broke because the test suite was inherited from Perl 4. But anyway, these things happen. Seriously, I have no idea what's going to happen in the next year in terms of Perl 5 and Perl 5-like languages. And that strikes me as really quite cool. I mean, think about it. How many years has it been since we've said we don't know what's going to happen, but stuff is definitely going to happen and it's going to be cool, we just don't know which cool things will happen. This I think, is a new era. This talk was originally given at YAPCNA, which meant, lots of flying out to America and the glory of the American Transport Security Administration. Those of you who were here last year may remember I was on crutches. There is now a bolt in here that's holding my leg together. This is not helpful when you have to deal with American airport security. It's got to the point now where when I get taken aside to be groped by an American security agent, I can practically recite the speech that they have to give beforehand back to them at the same time as they're giving it to me. It's ridiculous. The other thing, Austin was actually warmer than here, which is quite an achievement. And in fact, Austin was hotter than the last time I was in Singapore, which was ridiculous. People told me before I flew out that Texas was famous for barbecue, but I didn't think it was going to be me. The other funny thing is that Texas is almost a country within America. They have their own nationalist pride, which is fascinating. So I actually got shouted at after my first talk for not capitalizing Texas. It's fine. I figured out how to solve the problem. I went, all right, there, I've capitalized it. And made it more neat. Even better. Anyway, so we talk a lot about the Perl community, but The reality is it's not so much the Perl community as the Perl communities. I mean, there's a lot of overlap between Perl 5 people and Perl 6 people, but, you know, there's irc.perl.org, there's the people on Perl Monks, there's quite a lot of activity on Stack Overflow now. All of these different interlocking groups that work slightly differently. I mean, it's very obvious to me here, because, you know, being far enough east that it was convenient to turn up. We have a lot of people here, a Russian Perl community, who are, and I mean, there's more people here that I don't recognize than any previous year. And I think that's fascinating, but you know, there's always interaction. And the nice thing is, we all share CPAN. So even though there's all these different groups of people, we all have this connection through having this shared code base, shared set of libraries that everybody's working with. And yeah, everybody brings something different. You know, the Perl Monks people seem is probably the biggest collection of strange and crazy golf tricks you'll ever see. irc.perl.org, being IRC, probably brings the greatest amount of snark of any of the constituencies. The Japanese Perl community provides us with insanely micro-optimized RICER code that if you're in a situation where you really need that last 2% of performance, they've got an answer for you. It's fascinating. I mean, the thing that amazes me is some of the people that I've been working with on stuff for years are now doing something other than Perl at work because they found an interesting job that was more fun than what they were doing. Fair enough. But the fascinating thing is, most of them stick around because even though they're not being paid to use Perl anymore, they still want to be part of the community, part of this group, because, you know, we are as a whole kind of fun to hang around with. And the other thing is, they come back and show us things that we should steal from other languages. I mean, how much fun is that? But yeah, it's kind of fascinating. When I first started doing Perl stuff, CPAN was the thing that was, this is what I believe is the killer feature of Perl. These days, it's kind of 50-50, whether the killer feature of Perl for me is CPAN or the people. And companies are noticing this. We're seeing more and more corporate engagement with the community. YEPCNA certainly is getting more and more big sponsors. I don't keep track of YEPCEU as much. Largely, to be honest, because YEPCEU organises itself. YEPCNA, every year I seem to end up getting involved in something because the organisers are about to jump up and down on a landmine. No idea why. So, I mean, people say, oh, Perl is becoming niche, Perl is... Well, okay. Total usage of the language across all companies in the world, yes, that may be reducing. But, you know, a lot of that is the old sort of Matt script archive style Perl gradually going away. You know, the awful code that was written during the dot-com boom that gave Perl a bad name. The last of that sort of Perl is finally going out of service. And you know what? I don't care what they replace it with, so long as they get rid of it. But the Perl community is growing. irc.perl.org, Freenode #Perl channel grow year on year. Yapsies get bigger year on year. So, you know, there may be less people using Perl badly, but I reckon there are actually more people using Perl well, and that's good enough. I want to mention, I apologise for failing to actually bring stickers with me. But the whole Hallway++ idea that I've been doing at YEPCNA for a couple of years has some fascinating results. I mean, Hallway++ was this idea of you put the sticker on your badge and that says, come and talk to me. I mean, half of us now don't have badges and we're just talking to everybody anyway, so it's not like it was that big a problem. But the thing that amazed me was a bunch of introverts said Hallway++ was wonderful, that it really helped them because they were still bad at starting conversations, but if they had the sticker on their badge, the extroverts would come up to them and start conversations. And that was really helpful. And somebody specifically said to me, "Thank you very much for talking to everybody wearing a sticker." I didn't understand what she was talking about. I only worked it out a couple of weeks later. The reality is, I just tried to talk to everybody because that's half the fun of a conference, isn't it? But this is my point. I didn't understand why it mattered so much to the introverts. And the introverts didn't really understand why it mattered so much to the extroverts. And that's kind of the thing, the Perl community. We're weird, we're diverse, we're all sorts of strange ideas and people. And all different. And that melting pot is what produces such a vibrant language and a vibrant set of modules. And it's just cool, really, you know. Going back to a little bit of prehistory, you know, 25 years of Perl? 25 years! Perl 0 apparently was released to Larry's office mates. The release date is classified, largely, I think, because if he told us, he'd have to admit he doesn't remember. But I mean, Perl 1. Perl 1 was released to the world. That was in 1987. Perl 2 was the first version with regular expressions. That was in 1988. Perl 3 added binary data. 1989. Perl 4. Perl 4 was released because the Camel book was coming out and it was easier to have a version number to reference in the book. Oh, how the times have changed. You know, we used to be able to use an entire version number just for a book. Now, you know, it seems that, you know, major version numbers are in very short supply. But, you know, this is fine as well. So 4.0 was in 91. Perl 5, well, added pretty much everything else. And that was in 1994. Now think about this. Perl 5 started out in 1994. I was 11 years old when that happened. Wow, how far have we come since then? I mean, December 2000 was when I first started writing Perl for a living. At a small ISP that, as is the nature of small ISPs, got bought out by a bigger ISP, which was bought out by a bigger ISP, which was bought out by a bigger ISP. So the company long since no longer exists. But yeah, I was told, okay, you're going to write some Perl. Here's learning Perl and programming Perl, and a 5-minute crash course in using C Shell and Pico on BSDI Unix. Woo! Yeah, so, you know, 3 books, try and figure out what's going on. We were running on Perl 5.6.0. Ooh, yes, and yeah, that was actually relatively recent at the time. And, you know, in terms of modules, we used DBI. Seriously. That company didn't even use CGI.pm. We had this horrible thing that you copied and pasted into the top of the script that passed the query parameters. Badly. Man, I wrote so many security holes in the first year. Unfortunately, yes. And then now, you know, now we have Perl 5.18 and we're using what? I don't know. Here's
5.18.1, your slide is out of date.
I'll edit it later. I should just have left the .0 off the end, because I could have known I'd forget to update. Anyway. But and now we use an entire stack of things, you know. It's you know, as Audrey Tang said a few years back, Perl 5 is just syntax, CPAN is the language. And I kind of enjoy that, you know. But if you look back on this, pumpkins so far, there have been a few of them. All of these people made releases of Perl. That man apparently makes releases of Perl, beloved of Red Hat. But I mean now, you know, how long did we wait for 5.10? And now we've had 4 annual releases in a row. That's, I mean, we're now at the point where getting a new major version of Perl 5 every year isn't even something that surprises us.
The intervals are still slightly over a year.
Sorry?
The intervals are slightly over a year. It's been slipping.
That's full quality assurance.
Okay. In that case, we have so yes, all right, correction. We get a release every dozen months. It just happens to be a baker's dozen. So yeah, give us another 25 years, we'll be at 5.58. That's going to be okay. You know, we might have this strange shortage of major version numbers, but we've got plenty of minor ones to go. It's all good. Unless the zombies get us first, of course. So, you know, the future is awesome. The future is unknowable. The Perl community is kind of awesome too. So, you know, welcome to the human family around the language family. Because the future of Perl is you. Thank you very much. Right. Time to go and get caffeinated before the lightning talks. Have fun, people.